Hello, hello, hello. It's Emma Holmes coming in to you from Rockstar HQ today. Welcome to the YouTube channel. It is gorgeous to have you here. If you haven't already, please make sure that you hit the little bell to subscribe because it is super important that you don't miss a thing here on the YouTube channel. So what are we talking about today? We are talking about the 8 mantras that I run my business by. I am going to be diving in with you to talk about the things that are ridiculously important when it comes to running my business, the things that I am thinking about, and hopefully it will give you a whole stack of food for thought for taking your business forward. Food for thought. Who would have thought that that was a hard thing to say? So we are going to dive into the 8. There's 8 mantras that I run my business by. So what I would love for you to do is to screenshot right now my 8 mantras and share it out on social media, because it would be gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous to see that you are watching into today's episode. So without further ado, let's get going. Right, number 1. Rest is as important as work. Rest is as important as work. So many entrepreneurs fall into the trap of working harder and harder and harder and faster and faster and faster. And the whole more thing comes up. If you've ever watched Finding Nemo and the seagulls, though, and I think that this is a trap that we fall into as entrepreneurs. I want you to know that rest is equally as important as your work. You will not get your best creative ideas if you spend all of your time at the coalface. If you are constantly working and seeking to go to more. Number 1, right? Your creativity is going to suffer as a result. You are going to end up tired. You are going to end up without the levels of creativity that you would otherwise have. Number 2, creativity does not have the option to drop into you if you are sat in front of a screen all of the time. Creativity is much more abundant out in the world. It's certainly abundant out in the outdoors, out in nature, being able to get out there. Number 3, your health and well-being is going to suffer if you are spending all of your time in front of your computer, and you are likely to not eat very well. You're likely to not exercise. You know, you are going to end up feeling pretty rubbish. And you're also going to end up rolling on that wave of burnout. And burnout absolutely sucks, right? So if you think that working harder and harder and harder is going to be the thing that helps and supports you the most, then actually what ultimately is going to end up happening is that you're going to end up so exhausted that you will have no option but to stop working. You know, you are going to be bitch slapped by the universe with burnout. That means that you're not going to be very creative. You're not going to be able to work. You're not going to be able to get the stuff done that you want to do. You're going to end up in that position where you are forced to take time off. So I want you to make sure that you know, all work and no play is going to make you a very dull rock star. So make sure that you are prioritizing some time in your week for downtime, that you are having days off, that you are moving away from the coalface on a regular basis, that you are looking after your own health and well-being, because that's the way that you can shine. You are the biggest asset in your business. And if you are not looking after that asset, then ultimately you are going to end up absolutely, completely and totally exhausted and wiped out. Our second mantra, in at number 2, persistence makes you great. Consistency makes you a legend. So yes, it is really important that you are persistent in business. It is really important that, you know, that you keep going. You know, we've all seen the image that's used as a meme that is, you know, the little man with the pickaxe who's so close to the diamonds but turns around and walks away. You know, persistency is vital in business. You have to keep showing up. You have to keep doing your thing. But consistency is also really important. Now, I want you to know that consistency does not equal frequency. Frequency is only one of the ingredients to the cake that is consistency. So consistency is about showing up regularly. It's about look and feel. It's about language and messaging. Yes, there's an element of frequency in there too, but there's lots of different things that come together to create consistency. So we have to make sure that we're looking at becoming consistent in the message that we're sharing with our audience, that we're becoming consistent in the look and feel of what we're sharing. We're becoming consistent perhaps in sending newsletters. Maybe that's one that you've been avoiding. Maybe that's one that isn't, happening right for you. We become consistent on our social media presence. And that isn't about how many times a day you post. That's about being there regularly. That's about making sure that you are looking at a schedule that works for you, that you are mixing up your content, that you have consistent messaging, and that people know what to expect from you. So yes, persistency, yes, consistency, but consistency doesn't just equal frequency. That's what lots of people get caught up in that, it has to be this thing, and it has to be on this day at this time in this way, and it has to be this, and this. And actually what they do is they create a shed load of rules that become really, really difficult to continue to implement and become consistent with, that actually what they do is they harm their consistency. So think about what would work for you, but think about consistency being more than just frequency. The next one is, just because I could doesn't mean I should. This is a big, big one. Now, this is all about the fact that as entrepreneurs, we love shiny. We love to do new things. We think, oh, I could do this, and 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 I could do this. And actually what we end up doing is chasing after lots of different things, but never ever getting the best from anything. And yeah, you could do a whole stack of things. I'm guessing that as an entrepreneur, you have a whole stack of things that you could do. I could do a Facebook marketing course. I could do an Instagram course. I could do a YouTube course. I could do a list building course. I could do this. I could do this. I could do this. I could do that. Whoa, right? Just because I could doesn't mean I should. It is really important that you know that there's a whole stack of things that you could do within your business, but that you are focused and concentrate your efforts to get the best results from the work that you are putting out there and the stuff that you are doing, the stuff that serves and supports your audience in the highest possible way. So please make sure that you are creating focus within your business as one thing. Also think about the path that you want to take your business on. If your will take you closer to where you want to travel to, then it can be a hell yeah. If it's going to take you off in a different direction, if it's going to distract you, if it's going to create a little bit of a detour, then perhaps that could is not a hell yeah and shouldn't become a should. So it's about focusing your mind and making sure, got hair all over, that you are getting the best from the work that you do create. As entrepreneurs, we will get stacks of ideas. It is within our DNA. It is part of who we are. We will get stacks and stacks of ideas. Just because it isn't a hell yeah right now doesn't mean that it's a no never. I have a concept that I call the nest, and ideas that aren't a hell yeah right now, so they're coulds that haven't become shoulds, then I pop them in the nest. I put my bum on it and keep it warm, because it might be that they hatch into something amazing. Equally, it might be that they're for much further down the line. That nest is kept really tight and really warm. A notebook full of ideas. I keep all of my notebooks because there is so much gold in all of the notes that I've taken over the years. And I go back, 7-8 years into notebooks of things that I took back then, and get lots of ideas and inspiration about things that I could do. So just because I could doesn't mean I should. Make sure that you run that filter and make sure that it's a hell yeah, that you're focused, that you're not just in creation mode for the sake of it, because that's what a lot of entrepreneurs do. They get into creation mode and become constantly attached to creating new, when never ever getting the true impact from the stuff that they've already created. So that's a biggie. That which is tracked will improve, whether in life, whether in business. The things that you keep your eye on are the things that are going to get better. The things that get your attention are the things that are going to get better. Where you place your attention is where you are going to create improvement, where you are going to see a difference. So if you start to look at tracking, You're starting to look at tracking your social figures. You're starting to look at tracking your number of likes, maybe your engagement. What you're looking at tracking is the number of subscribers you've got on your YouTube channel, your open rate on your newsletter. It might be that you're looking at tracking, your water intake or your health and well-being stats. Whatever it is that you start to track and you put that laser focused attention on is the stuff that will get your attention. It is the stuff that will improve. So tracking is ridiculously important, and it is one of the things that I absolutely adore doing. If you want to get a Rebels and Rockstars tracker for your social media, then shout up in the comments and I will make sure that you are able to get your hands on their tracker so that we can make sure that you get the stuff that you need in your business. But it's as simple as creating a notebook or an area or a spreadsheet or a note that just goes through, the statistics that are important to you. For me, the most important statistic is engagement, and making sure that I continue to improve from an engagement perspective, and that my crowd are invested in the conversation that I am creating, because that's what's really, really important for me. The next one. Continuous improvement is better than delayed perfection. Are you a bit of a perfectionist? If you are a little bit of a perfectionist, this one will make you feel, but do you know what? Perfect doesn't exist. There is no such thing as perfect. If I look back at some of the work that I did at the very beginning of my business, it might be a little cringy now, but I've continued to better my craft. I've continued to improve in my presentation and the things that I do and the way that I talk and the confidence that I have in the work that I do. And if we wait for all of our ducks to be in a row, we're never, ever, ever going to make any progress. I see lots of people going, I will do it when I've got all of these things in place. And actually that isn't wholly necessary. Being able to get out there and start serving the pants off your crowd and start to do the thing and to refine it and improve it as you go is absolutely perfect. This is the stuff that will allow you to get into that growth mindset, that it will allow you to not sit on things and be annoyed if somebody else then does something similar because you had that idea but you sat on it, or whatever it might be. This isn't in direct sort of contradiction to just because I could doesn't mean I should. This is a should that you then don't implement. So make sure that you are all about the implementation. Make sure that you are moving things forward. One of my favorites, simple but significant. We overcomplicate so much in business. Please, please, please make sure that you are keeping everything simple but significant. We don't need to make things hugely complicated. We don't need to go on a track of everything being so ridiculously hard. The answer is usually the simplest answer. I know that on occasions I've gone out there and made things ridiculously difficult, hard AF, right? And they didn't need to be. Always come back to, right, what is the simple solution here? What am I missing? And, for everything that I do, I go back to simplicity. What is the simple answer here? And how to make good decisions is a freebie that you can get over on the Rebels and Rockstars website, which will help you make sure that you are staying within simplicity and that you are running a 5-point check to making sure that you aren't overcomplicating it, that you're not making it difficult, etc. Mind your logs. So this is one that if you've been around for any period of time, you'll have heard me talk about your logs. Your logs are your time, your effort, your energy, and your attention. One New Year's Eve, I think, or was it New Year's night? I was visiting one of my one-to-one clients. She lived near the airport that I'd taken my parents to because my parents were off on holiday, and I called in to see her to say Happy New Year, etc. She had a lovely, lovely log burner going on. We were talking about a situation that she didn't want to continue anymore, and what I said was, this situation currently is like that fire, right? Your logs, your time, your effort, your energy, and your attention. If you keep putting those logs into that fire is going to continue to burn bright. It's going to continue to have the fuel that it needs to continue to burn. If you choose to take your logs away, then that fire is going to start to come down and become tiny little embers, and ultimately it is going to fizzle out. So you choose on a daily basis where you put your time, your effort, your energy, and your attention. You only get so much per day. Please do not waste it on stuff that is unimportant, on drama, on creating drama, on making yourself feel shitty. Whatever it is that you're doing with your logs right now, reclaim them, take the power back, and choose where you're going to distribute those logs moving forwards. And the last one, number 8. Just because I didn't react doesn't mean I didn't notice. Now, this is one that kind of directly impacts lots of people insofar, particularly as copying is concerned. Copying is not cool. It is not cool in the slightest. So what we have to look at doing is making sure that we decide when we are going to react to certain things. It's a follow-on from minding your logs, right? If you're going to put your time, your effort, your energy, and your attention into things, it has to be stuff that is worth it. We don't have to react to prove that we saw something. We don't have to react to prove ourselves right or wrong or whatever it might be. We can actually experience stuff on social media without creating a reaction. The way that we react to things creates a counter reaction from other people. So if you go in all aggressively and you're doing this and you're doing that, naturally the person who is in receipt of that has to defend. So they come back with their defense mechanism. And what we can create there is a whole buffing up against one another. So just because I didn't react doesn't mean I didn't notice is a great one for minding your logs. You're right, because you don't have to create the reaction. What I'll do is I'll make sure that the video all around copying is brought into this bottom corner right at the very end so that you can go and watch that if it is something that you have experienced, because it's shitty, but equally we've got to make sure that we're looking after our logs. So that is my 8 mantras to running my business. I hope that you found it super useful. I'd love for you to dive into the comments. Let me know your favorite, because I absolutely adore finding, what your favorite one has been. And equally, if there are any mantras in your business that I haven't covered here, I would love, love, love to hear. So have an epic and awesome day. Make sure that you've subscribed and go off and watch that video on copying if it is something that is super relevant to you. Have a great day and I'll speak to you soon. Bye.